Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks for joining me today. It's always lovely to have your company and have a nice catch up with you. Today I'm just popping in to share this lovely design with you. And the reason we're going for this design is a few of you have got in touch recently and for one reason or another you're just struggling a bit at the minute. So I thought it would make a nice card. I would make a nice design, a card that I could send to you over the airwaves. I can just send you a nice hug. Now, I must admit, I love my Lavinia sentiments and I love going through and buying new sentiments. And so before Christmas, I treated myself to this one. And I'm just going to read it to you. It's called, now I hope I pronounce it right, Shaylee's Spell. And if I just read it to you, I just think the words are so beautiful. It says, sorry, excuse me, when all the world's against you and wishing seems in vain, Shaylee rescues you with magic and gives you hope again. Lifting heavy hearts with lightness, she whispers, all is well. Feel Shaylee's tiny hand in yours as she casts her helpful spell. Now, I don't know about you, but I think anybody who's struggling with one reason or another, they are just such lovely words. So I came up with this design. And I hope you've got a chance to go and put the kettle on, make yourself a brew, get that cheeky biscuit and join me. So I'm going to start with a piece of multifarious card and it's 4 inches by 8 inches. And the first thing I'm going to do is add some stamping. And I'm going to stamp the beautiful words, the lovely sentiments. So I've got a black Versafine clay here. And again, when we're using a sentiment, lots of light tapping. And I sort of want this, I've got to get it straight, haven't I? I sort of want it off to the right. I don't want it bang in the middle. I just like things offset, but again, that's just me. Now, nice even pressure because it's a sentiment. So I hope you're feeling well. I hope you're having a good week so far. If not, we'll send you Shaylee's little hand to help. There we go. And look at that, it just stamps so beautifully. Now, I could have added one of our fairies for this, but I wanted to go for sort of a mystical feel that we don't know what Shaylee is. It's magical. Could it be a pixie, a fairy, an elf, or just the general magic, the whisper in the trees of the forest? What I love about this is you take your imagination wherever you want. I've gone for the trees, so I've gone for the, let me just double check, the red pine, large and small, just so that this card could be sent to either a male, a female, or a couple. And I just think it's handy to have those sorts of cards. But I mean, you use whatever stamps you wish. You must have so many stamps that will just go with this verse so well. But also what I love is I could use the verse for so many of my friends and actually stamp up different designs. So I'm just going to stamp my large tree a few times, and I actually want it off the page on this side. Now, as you know me so well by now, I always have to stamp on the side. It's just a quirky little thing that I do. Don't know why, it just works better for my head. But again, that's what makes us individual, isn't it? And I always say, you craft how is comfortable for you and whatever works for you. There's no right and wrong. I just must have a funny head. Now, I've stamped my trees, but what I'm going to do is just get a damp cloth and give them a wipe. I've just got a wet cloth here, and then I'm going to come in with my new Inky Binky and give them a dry, because I'm going to be using some embossing powder with these in a minute. So it's important that they're clean. Well, it is for me. I'll put my ink out of the way. And I'm just going to give this a bit of a blot because we've used Versafine Clair and obviously it's a slower drying ink and I don't want these words to smudge. So just to make double belt and braces, you know me. There we go. Now I want to add a little bit of atmosphere to this design. So I'm going to come in with my Elements ink pad, the Sahara. And I've got my lovely Sahara stencil brush. And then we're going to use the mask. So I've got my circular mask. She says, I did have it here. Right, move my trees out of the way. You know when you put something down safe? There we go, it's in the packet. I wasn't looking in the packet, the one place it should be. And what we're going to do is just position it. Now, again, you can position it anywhere on the design. I mean, you could put it there, but I quite like to have the words "You Magic" in there. So, as always, I'm just going to turn my work on the side, and I think we'll go there. I'm just going to pick a little bit of ink up and dab it on my mat, just because the ink pads are so juicy. And I'm still going to take a little bit more off on my circle mask, and then just flick outwards, just for that nice wispy sky. And this is why it was important to just check that my ink was dry. I don't want to rub my stencil brush and just smudge that ink. We'll grab a bit more. I always make sure I grab this ink up and right across. And let's have a look. Now I think that's dark enough. I don't want to overpower with that. So what I will do is pick a little bit more ink up, get myself my cloth, and I'm just going to go around the edge of the design. So as always, I ink up on the corners and then just whiz down the side. The stencil brushes are just perfect for this. So ink up on the corner, whiz down the side. If I need any more ink, I'll just pick that ink up. Again, corner, up the side, pick the ink up, and I'm just putting a nice little frame around my design. And then I can turn it round and check if I'm happy with that. But I do want to add some mountains, so I'll just come in with the Hills and Mountains mask. And again, check, obviously you don't want to put it in front of the moon, but I want a nice shape sort of where the moon is. So actually, let's go. I think that's the one for me. Now again, always on your mask and just gentle flicking. And again, I don't want this too dark. I just want the idea of the shape. So if I hold it up, yeah, that's more than enough. I'm happy with that. And again, I just want to create that lovely sort of atmosphere in the background. I'll put the lid on my ink pad, put that over there. And just to give us even more atmosphere, I'm going to bring in the next colour, the Elements, the truffle. I'm going to bring in some truffle. And what we're going to do with this is just add a little bit more of a frame. So again, I'm going to work my way around, starting on the corners, and always push the card down with my hand. And I'm not going to come in as far this time. And again, it's just circular motions. And I'm just going to work my way around. So right along the bottom here. And then, again, ink up on the corner, all the way up here. Pick that ink up. I can use that ink on this corner. And I do keep the cloth, just this piece of kitchen roll, under my hand, just to save if I've got any ink on here or bits of glitter, could just even be water, anything, it would spoil my design. I'm just going to pick this ink up here, come round, and then just have a little look. Right, I'm not too happy with the bottom, so I don't want any more ink on here. So in fact, I'm going to put the lid on my ink pad. And with my sponge quite dry, I'm just going to blend again along the bottom, just to blend that colour out. I'll just feel happier if it's a bit more blended. Yes, that's better. And we'll have a bit more colour at the top, so I can pick the ink up this time and blend that down. And it's just go around checking that you're happy with that blending. And we'll just wipe this. Keep the area nice and clean again, so that's just a wet cloth. And then Mr. Inky Binky. So I do think that dust is just building up so beautifully, isn't it? Now again, I'm just going to give, because we've just put the wet ink on, just going to give it a little bit of a dry. Just because we're going to use an embossing powder, and obviously that would stick to where the ink is. So dry it from the front and the back. And the embossing powder we're going to use is this lovely one. I thought this would go really well. It's a Metallic Copper Sparkle. And I'm thinking with the brown tones, with the coppery tones. So I'm going to bring in my stamps again. And I've got my Versamark. So remember, your Versamark, it's your sticky ink pad. Do not judge me on the colour of my ink pad though. It was clean once over, but you know what? It still works. So nice light tapping, and I think we'll have a large tree there. And then, now don't worry, there's a slight blue there that's come off my ink pad, but the embossing powder will stick to that, so that'll be fine. We'll have a smaller one there. And because this stays sticky for quite a while, there's no rush. I can ink up over this side. I'm just going to put another tree there. So I'm going to have 3 that are embossed. Again, make sure the lid is on my ink pad. And then we'll just put some embossing powder on there, and again over here. Now I always say tap its bottom. Now I have an old paintbrush which I keep the glitters and embossing powders, and I'm just going to gently brush off any excess glitter that's stuck to where the wet ink is. To be honest, I don't think we've got much at all. I think we're okay there. Now, always make sure that you put this back in the pot. So again, let's just, and I always find tap the pot first, because there does seem to be more going back in there than what you took out. So just give this a bit of a tap. Paintbrush comes in so useful. And it's worth just taking your time. You don't want to spill it. You don't want to lose any of that lovely embossing powder. There we go. Again, bit of a tap. And then get the lid straight on, because you know what will happen if you don't. You're going to spill that. So now I'm just going to heat this. So I do apologise. So I'm just going to use, I've got a wow. So it's a wow powder we're using, and I've got the wow heat tool, and I'm just going to put it on the highest heat. And just keep watching and literally move as it heats up. Beautiful, look at that. I hope you can see that. So I'll just heat these 2 here. And again, just move the heat tool slowly as it heats up. Got another one here. There we go, I'm just going to end on my card. So I just think that is beautiful, and if I can stand up just to show you, can you see that embossing? Absolutely beautiful. I say great for a mail card. Now, to finish this off, I just want to add some lovely splatters. Now, if you remember the other day, we used the white pastel to add some lovely splatters, the white pearl. Well, this one is a bronze metallic. So what I'm going to do is just with a little piece of one of those lovely coffee stirrers that you get from a certain coffee shop, just going to add a tiny bit, and I mean a tiny bit of powder to my mat. Just going to put the lid on. Then I'm going to get my fan brush, which I've got in water, just tapping off the excess, and I'm just going to make myself a lovely glittery solution. And then I'm going to add just some nice splats of this gorgeous, and when it dries it's going to be so shiny. Just want a little bit more water, just so I've got lots of nice fine. And the good thing is these will faux bleach but also stay with that lovely, lovely sort of, I just want it to look like magic, little specks of magic, bronze magic. I think that's enough. I don't want to overcook it, do I? I'm just going to wipe this up. Now again, that's the beauty of this mat. The PanPastel will just wipe up straight away with a damp cloth, and then Mr. Inky Binky on here, dry it. And there we go. If I just bring this up. Now obviously this is wet. And what's lovely is, as you can see, it does two things. It faux bleaches, but also it leaves that lovely, beautiful bronze glittery. So the fact that that one's wet, I'll put that there, and I'll bring in the one that I'd already done, which I've mounted. So this one I've just put on some white card, and I've added some lovely bronze card, and then on a white card blank. So I'm hoping you like that. I'm hoping you have a go at this. And I'm hoping that those lovely words of Shaylee coming with her tiny hand, just to hold out, to hold yours if you need it, to give you a helping hand, or just so that you know she's there, so she cares. So you take care, everybody. And thank you for all your comments. Honestly, it means a lot. Take care. See you next week. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.